Most people believe calmness is something you either have or you don't. They look at someone who remains composed under pressure and assume that person was simply born with a peaceful personality. They say, that's just who they are. But this belief keeps countless people trapped because it convinces them that inner peace is determined by luck instead of effort. The reality is very different. Calmness is not a personality trait. It is a mental skill, and like every skill, it can be learned, strengthened, and refined through consistent practice. Think about any ability you admire. No one picks up a musical instrument for the first time and immediately performs beautifully. No one enters a gym once and walks out stronger. Every meaningful ability develops through repetition. The mind follows the same principle. Every day through your thoughts, your reactions, and your habits, you are training your mind. The only question is whether you are training it toward calmness or toward chaos. Many people unknowingly train themselves to become anxious. The moment they wake up, they grab their phone. Their attention is immediately scattered between messages, news, social media, and endless notifications. Before the day has truly begun, their mind is already racing. They repeat this pattern every morning, then wonder why they struggle to feel peaceful. What they don't realize is that every repeated action becomes a lesson for the brain. If you repeatedly feed your mind urgency, it learns urgency. If you repeatedly feed it fear, it learns fear. But if you repeatedly feed it stillness, patience, and awareness, it slowly begins to choose those states naturally. Your brain is constantly adapting. It strengthens whatever pathways you use most often. If every inconvenience causes frustration, frustration becomes your default response. If every disagreement triggers anger, anger becomes familiar territory. But if you practice slowing down before reacting, breathing before speaking, and observing before judging, those responses gradually become automatic. This is why calm people are not calm, because life is easier for them. They are calm because they have trained their minds to respond differently. Imagine two people facing the exact same situation. Both lose an important opportunity. One immediately thinks, everything is ruined. I'll never recover from this. The other pauses and thinks, this is disappointing, but I can learn from it and move forward. The event is identical, but their experience is completely different. The difference isn't luck. It isn't intelligence. It isn't personality. It is mental conditioning. One mind has been trained to panic. The other has been trained to remain steady. This is why your daily habits matter far more than dramatic moments. People often search for one life-changing secret that will instantly make them peaceful. They want a single book, a single video, or a single breakthrough that transforms everything overnight. But lasting calmness is built quietly. It grows in ordinary moments that most people overlook. It grows when you choose not to argue over something trivial. It grows when you take one deep breath instead of reacting immediately. It grows when you accept that not every problem requires instant action. These small choices seem insignificant, but repeated over weeks, months, and years, they reshape your entire character. There will be days when you fail. You will lose your patience. You will overreact. You will say something you wish you hadn't. That does not mean you are incapable of becoming calm. It simply means your training is not finished. A person learning to walk falls many times before taking confident steps. A person learning to remain calm will also stumble. The mistake is not the failure itself. The mistake is believing that one difficult day erases all your progress. Real growth happens when you notice your reactions sooner than before. Perhaps last year you stayed angry for 3 days. Today maybe you recover in 3 hours. One day it may take only 3 minutes. That is progress. Calmness is not measured by never becoming emotional. It is measured by how quickly you regain your balance after life tries to pull you away from it. The most peaceful people are not those who have escaped hardship. They are often the ones who have faced the greatest storms and learned that panic never solved a single problem. Through experience, They discovered that a calm mind sees opportunities that a fearful mind cannot. When emotions settle, clarity appears. When clarity appears, better decisions follow, and better decisions gradually create a better life. So stop telling yourself, I'm just an anxious person, or I've always been this way. Those are not permanent identities. They are habits that have been practiced for years. And what has been practiced can be practiced differently. Every moment offers another opportunity to train your mind. Every challenge becomes another lesson. Every pause before reacting is another repetition that strengthens your inner discipline. Over time, calmness stops feeling like something you force. It becomes part of who you are. Not because you were born that way, but because you earned it through consistent, intentional practice. Every day, life presents you with countless moments that invite a reaction. Someone speaks to you with disrespect. A plan falls apart at the last minute. You receive unexpected bad news. A stranger cuts you off in traffic. A friend forgets a promise they made. These moments arrive without warning, and most people respond almost instantly. They speak before thinking. They act before understanding. They allow emotions to take control before wisdom has a chance to enter the conversation. Yet the quality of your life is rarely determined by what happens to you. It is determined by what happens inside you in the few seconds before you respond. There is a powerful space between every event and every reaction. Most people never notice it because they move through life too quickly. But that small space is where your freedom exists. It is where you decide whether your mind will be led by emotion or guided by awareness. When you fail to recognize that space, you become a prisoner of your impulses. When you learn to expand it, you become the master of your own mind. Imagine someone insulting you in front of others. Your first instinct may be to defend yourself immediately, to raise your voice, or to return the insult with even greater force. For a brief moment, anger feels powerful. It convinces you that reacting instantly is a sign of strength. But what often follows? Regret. You replay the conversation over and over. You wish you had chosen different words. You realize that your emotions spoke louder than your wisdom. The situation did not control you. Your untrained reaction did. A disciplined mind understands that the first emotion is not always the best guide. The first emotion is often the loudest, but not the wisest. Fear tells you to give up before you've even tried. Anger tells you to destroy relationships that could have been repaired. Pride tells you to refuse an apology. Anxiety tells you that every uncertainty is a disaster waiting to happen. If you obey every emotional impulse, your life becomes unpredictable because your emotions change from one moment to the next. Think of your mind as a skilled horse and your awareness as the rider. If the horse is strong but the rider has no control, both will end up lost. The horse will run wherever fear, excitement, or distraction leads it. But when the rider is calm, patient, and attentive, even the strongest horse moves with purpose. Your emotions are not your enemy. They're powerful energy. But they were never meant to become the leader. They are meant to be guided by wisdom. Many people spend years trying to change the world around them while ignoring the only thing they truly control, their own response. They believe peace will arrive once difficult people disappear, once problems stop appearing, or once life finally becomes fair. But every new season brings new challenges. Every stage of life introduces different obstacles. If your peace depends on perfect circumstances, you will spend your life chasing something that never lasts. Real freedom begins the moment you realize that no one can force you to react in a certain way. They may influence you. They may provoke you. They may test your patience. But the final decision always belongs to you. That decision may take only a second, but it shapes the direction of your day, your relationships, and ultimately your character. This is why awareness is more valuable than intelligence alone. A highly intelligent person can still make foolish decisions if they cannot manage their emotions. On the other hand, someone with ordinary knowledge but extraordinary self-control often makes wiser choices because they pause long enough to see the bigger picture. Calmness allows you to observe instead of assuming. It allows you to listen instead of interrupting. It allows you to understand before trying to be understood. The greatest leaders, teachers, and mentors throughout history shared one remarkable quality. They did not allow every situation to dictate their emotions. They remained centered when others became chaotic. They listened when others shouted. They reflected when others rushed. Their strength came not from controlling people, but from controlling themselves. You can begin practicing this today through the smallest moments. The next time something irritates you, resist the urge to react immediately. Take one slow breath. Notice what you are feeling without trying to suppress it. Ask yourself, will this response improve the situation, or will it only satisfy a temporary emotion? That single question can prevent countless unnecessary conflicts. Over time, this pause becomes one of the most valuable habits you will ever develop. At first, it may feel uncomfortable because your mind is used to reacting automatically. But with practice, the pause becomes natural. Instead of being pulled in every direction by anger, fear, or frustration, you begin choosing your responses with intention. You stop giving every passing emotion the authority to make decisions on your behalf. Eventually, people will notice something different about you. They will wonder why you remain calm in situations that overwhelm others. They may assume you are simply naturally peaceful, but you will know the truth. Your calmness was not gifted to you. It was built one conscious choice at a time. Every moment you resisted an impulsive reaction, every time you chose understanding over anger, every time you allowed wisdom to speak before emotion, you strengthened your mind. And that is how true inner peace is created. Not by avoiding life's challenges, but by mastering yourself before you respond to them. One of the greatest sources of human suffering is not pain itself, but the endless desire to control things that were never within our control. We want people to think well of us. We want every plan to succeed exactly as imagined. We want the future to unfold according to our expectations. We want life to be predictable, fair, and comfortable. But life has never made such a promise. The more tightly you try to hold on to certainty, the more frustrated you become when reality refuses to cooperate. Think about how much of your daily stress comes from situations you cannot change. You worry about what someone thinks of you after a conversation. You replay mistakes that happened months ago, wishing you could rewrite history. You imagine dozens of future problems that may never even happen. Hours are spent fighting battles that exist only inside your mind. Meanwhile, the present moment, the only place where you can actually take action, slips away unnoticed. Imagine standing in the middle of a river, trying to stop the current with your hands. No matter how hard you push, the water continues to flow. Eventually, your arms become exhausted, not because the river is too powerful, but because you were fighting something that was never meant to be stopped. Life is much the same. There are forces greater than your will. Time moves forward. People make their own choices. Circumstances change without asking your permission. The more you resist these realities, the more energy you lose. This does not mean becoming passive or giving up on your goals. It means understanding the difference between influence and control. You can influence your health by exercising, eating well, and resting. But you cannot control whether you will never become sick. You can prepare carefully for an important meeting, but you cannot control how every person in the room will respond. You can love someone deeply, but you cannot control whether they choose to stay in your life. Recognizing this distinction is not weakness, it is wisdom. Many people confuse acceptance with surrender. They believe that accepting reality means approving of it or refusing to improve it. In truth, acceptance is simply seeing reality as it is, instead of insisting it should be different. When you deny reality, you waste precious energy arguing with facts. When you accept reality, you free that energy to respond intelligently. Imagine a sailor caught in a strong wind. The sailor cannot command the wind to change direction. If they spend all their time complaining about the weather, the boat drifts farther from its destination. But if they accept the wind as it is and adjust the sails accordingly, they continue moving forward. The wind remains the same. What changes is the sailor's response. This is how calmness works. Peace does not come from controlling every condition. It comes from learning how to navigate whatever conditions appear. One of the hardest things to release is the need for other people's approval. Many people spend years shaping their lives around opinions that constantly change. They avoid speaking honestly because they fear criticism. They hide their dreams because they fear judgment. They measure their worth by applause, compliments, and recognition. But approval is one of the most unstable foundations you can build your life upon. The same people who praise you today may criticize you tomorrow. If your peace depends on their approval, your peace will disappear whenever their opinions change. Your value does not increase because someone admires you, and it does not decrease because someone misunderstands you. The opinions of others belong to them. Your responsibility is to live according to your values, not according to every expectation placed upon you. Once you understand this, an enormous weight begins to lift from your shoulders. Another invisible burden people carry is the desire to control the future. The mind constantly asks, what if something goes wrong? What if I fail? What if I lose everything? It creates endless scenarios that may never become reality. Ironically, the future we fear is often less painful than the anxiety we create while imagining it. Worry gives the illusion of preparation, but most of the time it simply steals today's peace without improving tomorrow's outcome. The present moment is where your true power exists. You cannot act yesterday. You cannot act tomorrow. You can only act now. Every time your mind drifts into endless worry, gently bring it back by asking yourself, what can I actually do in this moment? If there is a useful action, take it. If there isn't, allow yourself to let go. Carrying worry without action is like carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones on a journey. The weight slows you down, but it never helps you reach your destination. Detachment is often misunderstood as becoming cold, distant, or emotionally disconnected. True detachment is something very different. It means caring deeply without becoming emotionally imprisoned by the outcome. You can give your best effort while accepting that results are never guaranteed. You can love wholeheartedly while recognizing that you cannot control another person's choices. You can pursue success passionately without allowing failure to destroy your identity. This mindset creates incredible freedom. You stop living in constant fear because you no longer demand certainty from an uncertain world. Instead, you trust your ability to adapt. You begin to understand that strength is not found in making life obey your plans. Strength is found in remaining steady when life writes a different story than the one you expected. The calmest people are not those who control everything around them. They are the ones who have learned to release what cannot be controlled while taking full responsibility for what can. They protect their energy by focusing on their thoughts, their actions, their character, and their attitude. Everything else is allowed to come and go like changing weather. When you stop trying to hold the entire world in your hands become free to build the life that truly matters. And in that freedom, you discover a peace that no circumstance can easily take away. Many people believe peace comes from comfort. They imagine that if they had fewer responsibilities, fewer problems, more free time, or better circumstances, they would finally feel calm. But if you observe life carefully, you will notice something surprising. Many people with comfortable lives are still restless. They constantly seek more entertainment, more distraction, or more validation because their minds have never learned to be at peace. Comfort may relax the body for a moment, but it cannot create lasting inner peace. Discipline can. At first, discipline sounds like something restrictive. It brings to mind strict routines, difficult sacrifices, and endless effort. Yet true discipline is not about making life harder. It is about removing the chaos that steals your energy. Every time you make a conscious decision, instead of following an impulse, you strengthen your mind. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build trust within yourself. Over time, that trust becomes the foundation of lasting confidence and inner peace. Imagine building a house. If the foundation is weak, even a beautiful structure will begin to crack when storms arrive. But when the foundation is solid, the house remains standing even under tremendous pressure. Discipline is the foundation of a peaceful mind. Without it, your emotions become like changing weather. One compliment makes you happy. One criticism ruins your day. One success fills you with confidence. One failure convinces you that you are not enough. Your emotional state rises and falls with every external event, because there is nothing stable beneath it. Discipline creates stability. It teaches your mind that your actions do not have to depend on your feelings. This is one of the greatest lessons anyone can learn. Most people wait until they feel motivated before taking action. They tell themselves, "I'll exercise when I feel like it. I'll meditate when I have more time. I'll start learning when inspiration comes." But motivation is unpredictable. Some mornings it appears, and other mornings it disappears without explanation. If your life depends on motivation, your progress will always be inconsistent. Discipline says something different. It says, "I will do what needs to be done, whether I feel like it or not." This is not punishment. It is freedom. Because once your actions are guided by commitment rather than emotion, your life becomes far more stable. You stop negotiating with every passing feeling. You no longer ask your emotions for permission to grow. Consider a musician who practices every day. There are days when inspiration flows effortlessly, and there are days when every note feels difficult. If the musician practiced only when inspired, true mastery would never come. Instead, they return to their instrument again and again, trusting the process more than their temporary emotions. The mind develops in exactly the same way. Every day you choose patience over irritation, silence over unnecessary arguments, or focus over distraction, you are practicing your instrument. Eventually, calmness becomes second nature because you have repeated it so many times. One of the greatest enemies of discipline is the desire for immediate comfort. The mind naturally wants the easiest path. It prefers endless scrolling instead of quiet reflection. It chooses temporary pleasure over long-term growth. It seeks distractions whenever discomfort appears. While these choices may feel satisfying in the moment, they often leave you feeling emptier afterward. Short-term comfort frequently creates long-term discomfort. Think about how often people avoid difficult conversations because they fear discomfort. They delay important decisions because they are afraid of making mistakes. They ignore healthy habits because unhealthy ones feel easier today. Every small avoidance teaches the mind that escaping discomfort is the solution. But the discomfort never truly disappears. It simply grows stronger while your confidence grows weaker. Discipline teaches the opposite lesson. It gently reminds you that temporary discomfort is often the price of lasting peace. Waking up early to create a quiet morning may require effort, but it gives your mind clarity for the rest of the day. Spending 10 minutes in silence may feel unfamiliar at first, but it gradually strengthens your ability to observe your thoughts instead of being controlled by them. Choosing honesty during a difficult conversation may be uncomfortable, but it often prevents months of misunderstanding. There is another hidden gift within discipline. It reduces the number of unnecessary decisions you must make. When healthy habits become routine, your mind spends less energy debating what to do. You simply follow the path you have already chosen. This creates a sense of order that protects your mental energy. Instead of constantly fighting yourself, you begin working with yourself. A disciplined person is not someone who never struggles. They experience the same doubts, fears, and frustrations as everyone else. The difference is that they have trained themselves not to obey every emotional impulse. They recognize that feelings are temporary visitors, not permanent leaders. Some mornings they wake up tired, yet they still honor their commitments. Some days they feel discouraged, yet they continue moving forward. Their strength comes not from always feeling confident, but from acting according to their values, even when confidence is absent. This way of living slowly transforms your relationship with yourself. Every promise you keep becomes evidence that you can rely on your own character. You stop searching for confidence in praise from others because confidence is now built through your own actions. You become less afraid of challenges because discipline has already taught you that growth often begins where comfort ends. Perhaps the greatest reward of discipline is that it creates a quiet mind. When you know you have done your best, there is less room for regret. When your life is guided by consistent habits instead of random impulses, your thoughts become less scattered. Instead of feeling pulled in countless directions, you move with purpose. That purpose creates clarity, and clarity creates peace. In the end, inner peace is not something you stumble upon by accident. It is something you build, one disciplined choice at a time. Every morning you choose awareness over distraction. Every evening you choose reflection over regret. And every moment you choose wisdom over impulse. You strengthen the foundation of your mind. Life will continue to test you with uncertainty, disappointment, and change. But a disciplined mind does not collapse under pressure. It stands firm, not because the world has become easier, but because the person within has become stronger, steadier, and deeply at peace. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid difficulty. They believe that if they can eliminate every obstacle, every disappointment, and every painful experience, they will finally become happy. But life has a different lesson to teach. Challenges are not interruptions to your growth. They are your growth. Every difficult moment carries within it an opportunity to strengthen your mind, deepen your character, and discover abilities you never knew you possessed. The question is not whether you will face hardship. The question is whether hardship will shape you into someone stronger or leave you feeling defeated. Imagine a sword being forged. The metal is placed into intense heat, struck repeatedly by a hammer, and cooled before the process begins again. If the metal could speak, it might believe it was being destroyed. In reality, every strike is making it stronger. Without the fire and the pressure, it would never become a blade capable of enduring great force. Human character develops in much the same way. Comfort may feel pleasant, but struggle is what refines you. Think back to some of the most meaningful lessons you have learned in your life. Were they born from moments when everything was easy? Probably not. They likely came from failure, rejection, uncertainty, or loss. Those experiences forced you to think differently. They revealed weaknesses that success had hidden. They taught patience where impatience once ruled. They taught gratitude where entitlement once existed. Pain became a teacher that comfort never could. Yet most people resist this process. The moment difficulty appears, they ask, "Why is this happening to me?" This question naturally leads the mind towards self-pity and frustration. A more powerful question is, what is this trying to teach me? The moment you ask this, your perspective begins to change. Instead of seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances, you become a student of life. Every setback becomes a lesson. Every obstacle becomes a classroom. Every challenge becomes another opportunity to strengthen your inner world. Consider someone who receives harsh criticism. An untrained mind immediately becomes defensive. It either attacks the other person or sinks into self-doubt. But a disciplined mind pauses. It asks, is there something valuable hidden within these words? Even if the criticism is delivered unfairly, there may still be something useful to learn. If there is, you improve. If there isn't, you let it pass without carrying unnecessary resentment. In both cases, you preserve your peace. Failure is another experience that people fear, yet it is one of the greatest teachers you will ever encounter. Success often confirms what you already know. Failure reveals what you still need to learn. Every mistake shines a light on an area where growth is possible. Instead of seeing failure as proof that you are incapable, begin seeing it as evidence that you are stretching beyond your comfort zone. The person who never fails is usually the person who never dares to grow. Nature offers endless reminders of this truth. A seed must break apart before it becomes a tree. A butterfly must struggle to emerge from its cocoon before its wings become strong enough to fly. If someone tried to remove that struggle to make the process easier, the butterfly would never develop the strength it needs to survive. In the same way, many of the struggles you wish to escape are quietly preparing you for responsibilities and opportunities that your current self is not yet ready to carry. This does not mean pretending that pain feels good. Disappointment hurts, loss hurts, uncertainty is uncomfortable. Calmness is not about denying these emotions. It is about refusing to let them define your future. You can acknowledge your pain without allowing it to become your identity. You can experience sadness without believing your life is hopeless. You can face uncertainty without surrendering to fear. One of the greatest shifts in mindset happens when you stop asking life to become easier and begin asking yourself to become stronger. This single change transforms every challenge. Traffic is no longer simply an inconvenience. It becomes an exercise in patience. A disagreement becomes an opportunity to practice understanding instead of winning. Delays become lessons in trust. Unexpected change becomes training in adaptability. Gradually, the world itself becomes your teacher. Mental resilience is not built in moments of comfort. It is built when everything inside you wants to complain, quit, or react, yet you choose wisdom instead. Each time you remain calm under pressure, you strengthen the muscles of your mind. At first, the progress is almost invisible. But like lifting weights, every repetition matters. One calm response may seem insignificant. Hundreds of calm responses reshape your entire character. There will be times when life feels unfair. You may give your best effort and still face disappointment. You may act with kindness and still be misunderstood. You may remain patient and still encounter setbacks. These moments test not only your strength, but your perspective. If you believe every difficulty is punishment, bitterness will slowly take root. But if you believe every difficulty is preparation, hope remains alive even during the hardest seasons. The strongest people are not those who have avoided suffering. They are those who have learned to walk through suffering without allowing it to harden their hearts or cloud their minds. They understand that every challenge carries two possibilities. It can either break your spirit or build your wisdom. The outcome depends less on the challenge itself and more on the attitude you bring to it. When you begin viewing life through this lens, fear starts to lose its power. You no longer panic when obstacles appear because you know that every obstacle contains a lesson waiting to be discovered. Instead of running from discomfort, you meet it with curiosity. Instead of asking, "Why me?" you ask, "How can I grow from this?" That question changes everything. In time, you realize that the greatest victories are not the ones celebrated by the world. They are the quiet victories that happen within. The moment you choose patience over anger. The moment you replace blame with responsibility. The moment you stand back up after failure instead of giving in to defeat. These are the moments that forge an unshakable mind. Life will continue to bring challenges, but you will no longer see them as enemies. You will recognize them as the very training that transforms an ordinary person into someone calm, resilient, and deeply rooted in inner strength. Many people search for a single moment that will permanently transform their lives. They hope one inspiring speech, one powerful book, one breakthrough conversation, or one life-changing experience will suddenly make them calm, confident, and unshakable. While these moments can certainly inspire you, they cannot replace daily practice. Inspiration fades, motivation rises and falls. But what you practice every day slowly becomes part of who you are. The strongest mind is not built in extraordinary moments. It is built in ordinary moments, repeated with extraordinary consistency. Think about a river flowing through solid rock. The water is soft, the rock is hard. If you looked at the river for only one day, you might think nothing has changed. But after years of constant flow, the river carves valleys through mountains. It is not the power of one moment that changes the landscape. It is the quiet strength of consistency. Your mind develops in exactly the same way. Every calm decision, every patient response, every moment of awareness leaves a small mark. Individually, they seem insignificant, but together, they shape your character. One of the greatest misunderstandings about mental strength is believing that it appears only during major crises. In reality, your response during difficult times is determined by how you lived during ordinary days. A firefighter does not learn courage during the fire. A musician does not learn mastery during the performance. An athlete does not build endurance during the championship. They prepare long before those moments arrive. When pressure comes, they simply rely on the habits they have already built. Life works the same way. If you ignore your mind during peaceful seasons, it will struggle when storms appear. But if you train your mind every day, challenges become opportunities to apply what you have already practiced. This is why daily discipline is so important. You are preparing for moments you cannot yet see. Many people wait until they feel overwhelmed before they begin taking care of their minds. They only seek silence after becoming exhausted. They only learn patience after losing their temper. They only value stillness after experiencing chaos. While it is never too late to begin, wisdom teaches us to prepare before the crisis arrives. A tree does not grow deep roots during the storm. It develops them long before strong winds ever appear. Daily mental training does not need to be complicated. In fact, the simplest practices are often the most powerful. Begin your morning with a few moments of silence before reaching for your phone. Allow your mind to wake naturally instead of immediately filling it with information from the outside world. During the day, take a few conscious breaths whenever you notice tension building inside you. Listen fully when someone is speaking instead of planning your reply. Walk without rushing. Eat without distraction. Complete one task with your full attention instead of dividing your focus between many things. These simple acts strengthen your ability to remain present. Presence is one of the greatest forms of power. Most people are physically in one place while mentally living somewhere else. They replay yesterday's mistakes or imagine tomorrow's problems. Their body sits at the dinner table while their mind is trapped inside worries about work. They spend so much time escaping the present that they miss the only moment where life is actually happening. When you practice returning your attention to the present, something remarkable begins to happen. Your thoughts become quieter, your breathing slows naturally. Small moments become meaningful again. You begin to notice beauty that was always there, but hidden beneath constant mental noise. A gentle breeze, the sound of birds, the warmth of sunlight, or the smile of someone you love suddenly become enough. Calmness grows because your mind is no longer chasing everything it does not have. It begins appreciating what already exists. Gratitude itself is a powerful mental practice. A mind that constantly focuses on what is missing will never feel satisfied, no matter how much it gains. There will always be another goal, another possession, another achievement waiting in the distance. But a grateful mind understands that peace is not postponed until everything is perfect. It is discovered by recognizing the value of what is already present. Gratitude does not remove challenges, but it changes the way you carry them. Reflection is another habit that quietly strengthens the mind. At the end of each day, spend a few moments asking yourself simple questions. Where did I remain calm today? Where did I react too quickly? What lesson can I carry into tomorrow? These questions are not meant to create guilt. They are meant to increase awareness. Every honest reflection becomes another step toward growth. A person who regularly observes themselves improves naturally because they are constantly learning from experience. It is also important to remember that progress is rarely dramatic. Some days you will feel peaceful. Other days your mind will seem restless again. This does not mean you are moving backward. Growth is not a straight line. There will be setbacks, distractions, and moments of frustration. The key is to return to your practice without becoming discouraged. Just as the sun rises every morning, regardless of yesterday's weather, your commitment should remain steady, regardless of yesterday's mistakes. Eventually, something begins to change. Situations that once overwhelmed you no longer have the same power. Criticism hurts less because your confidence comes from within. Delays create less frustration because patience has become familiar. Unexpected change feels less threatening because you trust your ability to adapt. Other people may notice your calmness before you notice it yourself. They may wonder why you remain steady while everyone else becomes anxious. They may think you simply have a peaceful personality, but you will know the truth. Every quiet morning, every conscious breath, every moment you chose understanding over anger, every time you returned your attention to the present instead of chasing fear, you were building this strength. It did not happen overnight. It happened one decision at a time. In the end, an unshakable mind is not created by avoiding life's difficulties. It is created by meeting each day with awareness, discipline, patience, and humility. The world around you will continue to change. People will come and go. Success and failure will alternate. Joy and sorrow will both visit your life. Yet when your mind has been trained through daily practice, these changing seasons no longer control your inner world. You remain steady because your peace no longer depends on circumstances. It depends on the strength you have quietly built within yourself, day after day, until calmness becomes not something you seek, but something you naturally embody.